I got to go to work, and I didn't have much time, so I didn't really have time to do like the full video or whatever on the computer using a webcam, green screen, whatever. But I wanted to make this video real quick because I want to give my impressions of this Kyle Rittenhouse thing, the trial and what happened. Um, in my estimation, Kyle Rittenhouse shot in self-defense. He saved his own life, and if he hadn't done what he did, he would be dead right now. Now, you know, people are constantly making the argument. Well, the first argument, I guess, against it would be, well, he didn't have any need to be there. Yes, he did. This is the United States. We're a free country. We can travel to any state we want. And if he wants to travel there and defend property against people that are going to destroy that property illegally, okay, then he has a right to do that. Now, in a situation like that where the opposition is armed, you do not want to be unarmed. Now, there's also the argument saying that he was only 17, shouldn't have had a weapon. You know, that, okay, well, let's talk about that for a minute. The person that he shot apparently had a weapon and is also a convicted felon. Okay, now that's not a whataboutism. I'm just saying that the opposition had weapons. They shouldn't have had weapons either. But be that as it may, I would rather Kyle Rittenhouse have a gun than a convicted felon. And that opens up another argument about who's allowed to own firearms. The National Firearms Act, gun rights. Now, you can train Kyle Rittenhouse, okay? He's not a convicted felon. He's just 17. He's 1 year shy of being able to own that gun. Now, you're telling me that he can't own that gun until he reaches that certain point where the government has just magically decided that he can own the gun? No, I don't agree with that law at all. I don't agree with most gun control laws. Okay, the National Firearms Act is a disgrace to this country and has been so since the early 20th century. That law should not even be on the books. That bill should never have passed, but it did. And now this is where we're at. When we're saying that somebody that goes to help businesses defend their property and their livelihoods against people just bent on destruction, to say that's illegal for them to do? You expect them to just go there unarmed and just get slaughtered and just have nothing to protect themselves with? If he had not done what he did, he would be dead. Okay, and a convicted felon would have won the fight. But instead, Kyle Rittenhouse took a stand. You can decide personally, you know, I mean, that's a personal decision whether you want to make that decision to go take a stand or not. Some would say it's ill-advised. I probably would not do it. Not in that way, but who knows? I mean, I haven't made that decision myself. I'm not saying he made a bad decision by going there. I think he did the right thing. And I think he's a hero. And the fact that this even went to trial, the fact that he even had charges pressed on him, shows you where we are at as a country. All right, so it should be legal for any trained person of high school age, let's say, as long as they can demonstrate they have the correct judgment and the correct mindset and discipline to use a firearm effectively, which Kyle Rittenhouse definitely used it effectively. He discharged several rounds in an urban setting and only hit the targets he was aiming at. That is phenomenal, especially for a 17-year-old kid. So, as far as I'm concerned, he has a right to be armed, especially when he's in a dangerous situation. And if anything, this should be an argument for less gun control, because he's demonstrated that he's capable of defending himself when he shouldn't legally own that firearm. What does that say about gun control? Because there's a difference between right and legal in this country, and that gap is widening substantially and very quickly. Unjust laws, they don't make a person right. It just makes the law wrong. Kiki. So, we can have this conversation, but the fact that this even went to trial, I find extremely scary, personally. And that's just me. Obviously, the nation and the prosecutors, and they don't agree. They think this is normal and this is okay. Kyle Rittenhouse should not have been charged. Once the investigation was completed and the police reported their findings, I mean, he may have been arrested and charged, but then the charges should have been dropped. If there was any, if they had reasonable suspicion to think that he committed murder, then I could see maybe an arrest happening. But then once those reasonable suspicions have been put to bed, the charges should have been dropped. There should never have been a trial over this. There's video evidence of him defending himself, and we have a trial? This is terrifying. This could have been any of us. You have a right to defend people and to help people. And it's not even like he stood his ground. He ran. He took off. He was exiting the dangerous situation. And they persisted in bringing the danger to him. And they pushed him to a point where he had no alternative but to use a weapon in self-defense. That's self-defense by definition. And we're having a trial on that. This should terrify every law-abiding citizen that agrees with defending one's life and property. If the person he shot, the convicted felon, had been in prison where he belonged, none of this would have happened. At least he wouldn't have been shot, and he wouldn't have been trying to kill Kyle Rittenhouse. But he wasn't in prison, was he? He was out on the street with a loaded firearm. Because this nation can hold a trial for somebody that obviously defended themselves, but we can't keep convicted felons in prison. The justice system is a failure, and so's gun law. We need to revisit that, because Kyle Rittenhouse just made the case for having less gun control.